welcome. This is Heidi's Homemade, and this is Flosstube episode 55. I'm Heidi. Welcome. So today is March 12th. It's Wednesday. It is spring break for me, and so I thought I'd come on and do a video. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning here in Mesa, Arizona. We actually got some rain overnight, so it's a little bit chilly this morning, and we're supposed to see some temperatures dipping a little bit tomorrow as well. But it has been warming up quite a bit lately here in Arizona. So, let's see. That's the weather. So, I have been stitching some different things because of my Tiny Decisions wheel has been choosing for the most part for me. And I've been kind of going with whatever it's telling me to stitch on. It has told me to start a couple of new things. So I do have, I actually have a start finish that I started and then I finished it like the next day. And then I have one that I started and have not finished, so that is now a whip. So I have that to show. I have several whips because I've been stitching basically on something like one night and then spinning my wheel to do something for the next day. And then I do have a few charts that I did receive either given to me directly or off of the freebie table at the AZ Stitchers. That was last weekend. So I do have a few charts to show. Let's see. And that's about it. It is spring break. I already said it, I think. So I plan to stitch a lot. Yesterday I went through my relatively small stash of fabric and am trying to decide if I want to start a quilt. I think the only thing that I would be able to feasibly start and get decent progress on would be a scrap quilt. Because I have a bunch of random pieces from making project bags and from doing small finishes like my pillows and stuff like that. So I have some pieces that I could reasonably start cutting up into smaller pieces to do a scrap quilt. I haven't actually done a quilt in several years. And if you are familiar with my channel, you may remember that a couple years ago I had a storage unit that had basically all of my crafting supplies except for some cross-stitch stuff in my storage unit. So that storage unit caught on fire. The whole complex that it was in burnt down. Total loss. So all of my quilting fabrics, which was substantial, all of my fancy yarns, which was substantial, a couple sewing machines, a couple TVs, a bunch of kitchen stuff, a bunch of other random stuff, Christmas ornaments, framed, professionally framed things, a bunch of stuff, was in that storage unit. And because of that loss, I haven't really wanted to do some stuff because I didn't want to replace things I had already and just like all kinds of stuff. I guess maybe even a little like PTSD from it. But I've been kind of itching to make a quilt. Just the process of making a quilt. I have made probably at least a couple hundred quilts, and to not have made anything like that in over 5 years. Like, it feels weird. So I am itching to do that again, and part of it is living in Arizona and not having the cooler weather to like be like, oh, I need a blanket. And then the other part of it is the tremendous loss of losing all my stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I did pick up some yarn and started to crochet a little bit again. So that is starting to come back slowly. I'm only doing like one project at a time, and I'm currently working on a sweater, so it's going to be a bit because I don't pick it up very frequently. It's just like when I don't really want to cross stitch, but I want to work on something, that's when I pick it up and work on it and put in a few rows. So it's going to be a very slow going sweater. But yeah, so there's that. I guess let's get right into some stitchy stuff, since that's why you're probably here. So I have my planner, and I'll go back to the last week of February, since that was the last time you would have seen my planner here. And the stickers are the days that I do not stitch. I filmed last here, so everything that I've done since then is what you'll be seeing today. So this is from February, and my little gnome stickers. And then March, I chose to do owls for my stickers. And so far I've only not stitched twice this month. So I do have a few things to show. Of course, not a lot of progress on anything because I only stitch on it for like a day. So I'm hoping that being on spring break, I will be able to stitch a little bit more and possibly get a couple things done. I do plan on doing some fully finishing while I am on break. I have a couple pieces that I'm pretty sure how I want to finish them. So those, once I start actually working on it, shouldn't take long because I already have a vision in my head as to what I want to do with them. So that being said, let's start off with the one that I just started. Actually, let's start off with the one that I started and finished, since that technically would be a finish, right? So the one that I started and finished, and I need to pull it off up here because I forgot to take the pattern and flip it so that I wasn't showing the actual pattern. Okay, so if you watched my last video, you may remember that I had picked up a bunch of Pigeon Coop designs patterns, and so my serious okay, sorry about that. Sirius had a grumpy old man fit there for a second because, you know, other dogs walking down his sidewalk. Okay, so last video I did show that I did pick up some Pigeon Coop design patterns off of his website. This was one of them, Jolly Squirrel. My Tiny Decisions wheel decided that I needed to start a new project. I think it told me to start a new small. So I picked out this guy. He's super cute. And I finished him. So I started him one night, and I barely started him. And then I basically finished him the next day. So this is Jolly Squirrel. And he is on 16 count. Yeah, 16 count Fern opalescent from my Vintage Needle Arts. And I used all of the called for colors. Did not change anything. And I think he came out super cute. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish him yet. I am half thinking about putting him in a hoop instead of doing some kind of a pillow with him or a flat finish. But I have not decided yet. But he is super cute. And actually the lighting is kind of doing justice to this fabric. It is a very nice green and it shimmers with the opalescent. There we go, there's some shimmer. So he's a shiny little squirrel, because who doesn't need a little bit of squirrel in their life? So there is that one. Okay, and then the next thing that I started is this guy. And again, I will have to be careful how I open this because I did not plan this out and put the picture on the front of the pattern. Okay, so I also, when I got the Pigeon Coop designs, picked up some Nath Nolu patterns. I saw this on Instagram and fell in love with it. I had to have it. So I had it favorited on Etsy. And when I had a little bit of extra money, I went ahead and got it along with a couple other of her patterns. So I have a needle hanging because of course I do, because that's how I roll. Hang on just a sec while I put that to the back. Okay, so what I have so far is this. So my printer's ink is off and it's not a blue chair, it is a green chair. The color of the fabric is from, Primitive Hair. It is Crispy October is the name of the fabric, and it is 30 count. And so it's a bit big, and so I don't really like stitching on it because the stitches are so big, because essentially that's 15 count. And I don't typically stitch 14 count stuff. But I thought the fabric really looked like the inside of a tree. And since he's clearly in his little cozy nook and knitting his socks and his hats and stuff, like, yeah, he needed to be in his tree. So this is what I have so far for Cozy Nest. I did decide to use the whole piece of fabric because I think I'm going to have this one framed, or I'm going to frame it, but I figured out the size would have to be at least a 10 by 8 frame, so I wanted to make sure I had enough fabric. And I have plenty of fabric on the top and bottom, it's the sides, but I didn't want to limit what size frame, because I do really like the fabric, so I wanted to have enough of the fabric showing to make it worth it. So I am using all of the called for colors except for the black. I did sub out the 310 because it's all DMC. I subbed out the 310 for Bridge of Size from Forbidden Fiber Co. It's got a bluish purple tint to it, and but it reads very black, but it has a bluish purple tint to it, and I thought that that looked more like the crow / raven that he is. So I wanted something that wasn't just solid black to give him a little bit of interest in the bird himself. So there is that. Otherwise, oh wait, no, it isn't, because I subbed out green. The medium green that is used in the chair is the right color. However, the light green that is used in the chair is not. The light green was like a weird tone green, and I did not like it. So this one blends a little bit with the fabric, but it's bright enough. The floss has that shine to it, so it's bright enough that it doesn't blend completely with the fabric. And it looked way better together. Where's the other green? There it is. It looked way better together than the colors I felt that from the original pattern. And I don't know if you would even be able to see it. But those three colors make up the chair. And that's the only place that they are in the entire pattern. So, and which I'm actually done with the chair, so I don't have any more of that. Okay, so that is it for that. It's a very easy pattern to follow. I will say that the key and everything is very easy to follow. So never heard of that designer until I saw it on Instagram. So there's that. Let's see. The next thing is going to be a bunch of whips. So I'll start off with the one that's under those so I can get it out of the way. Okay, so shortly after my last video, it spun Hoot Magic. And this is one that I had done a restart with after my whip parade. Sorry, airplane. Where I'm at in the Phoenix area, there are a lot of airports, so it's constant airplanes all the time. So I had restarted Hoot Magic. I guess it would help if I showed you the pattern. So this is the pattern, and this is from Witchy Mama Stitches on Etsy. And I had originally started it on a navy blue, and I was not liking it, mostly because I had started it with 2 threads over 18 instead of 1 thread like I normally do, but that was kind of before I really started doing just 1 thread on 18. So now I switched it to one of my dyed fabrics, and this is what he looks like so far. I added in the rest of the moon, and I added in these, I guess they would be moths, these blue moths that are floating around him. And so the next time that I pick this guy up, I think he's going to get some of his leaves put in around him. But I'm really liking how he's coming out on this fabric. I think the fabric is really popping the design, and excited to see when my Tiny Decisions wheel is going to decide that I need to stitch on him again. It does. If anyone is watching that has used the Tiny Decision wheel, does it seem to have favorites? Because mine seems to have favorites. It definitely likes to choose the same ones frequently. So typically what I'll do is I will spin it 2 or 3 times because if it's one that I have just stitched on, like I kind of want to maybe pick something different because I want to have the variety. But then it has favorites. I'm telling you, it has favorites. So the next thing that it chose for me to stitch on, that I actually was, when I first saw it come up, I was like, I don't know. But I hadn't stitched on this for over a year. I hadn't touched it in over a year. So I needed to touch it. And I know why, and that's my whole issue, but I needed to pull it out and touch it because I hadn't touched it in like a year. So this one is Reindeer Christmas Gnome by Petite Croix. And this one, I'm almost done with all of the actual cross stitch. And I know that is the problem. Because once I get done with the actual cross stitch part, I then have to do all of the back stitch. And Le Petit Croix does a lot of back stitch. And I'm not a fan of back stitch. He's gonna look so cute, but back stitch. So, what I have is oh, I'm like, where's my needle? So I don't know if you can tell, but I filled in the rest of his beard. His beard was completely empty, like the insides were not done, and there's like 4 or 5 different colors for his beard. Like it had the very like minimal of like outline of the beard. So I added in the rest of his beard, and I filled in the rest of the bow. He's filled in, and I think the bow over here got filled in. And then I came over and did his little sleeve over here. So I really don't have too much left of the actual cross stitching. I have the rest of the deer's body and another foot over here, and his hand comes down over here, and that's it. And then I have to go in and do all that back stitching. Oh, and I think there's the little pom-pom I need to finish of that. But when I finish his little antler over here, I'll come in and do that because it's the same colors. And a lot of airplanes going around today. Sorry about that. So, I actually feel like I put in quite a few stitches for only working on that for, I think it was maybe a couple hours for one night. So, there's that. Let's see. At Xstitchers over the weekend, I worked a bit on Cozy Nest, and then when I got a little bit tired of working on that because the bigger counts fabric, like I can't work on it for very long because I feel it's just so big and it drives me nuts. So I'll stitch on it for a little while, and then I'll put it to the side and stitch on something else that's smaller, because I like the smaller stuff better. Okay, so I pulled out, because my tiny decisions wheel has been getting a workout. Whenever I go to like Xstitchers or to my library meetups, and if you want information about any of that, just message me. All my information is below. Whenever I do those, I spin the wheel 3 times, and I put all 3 of those projects in my bag, and then when I get there, I decide what I want to stitch on. So it could be 3 similar, it could be 3 completely off the wall ones, whatever. So it had actually picked the Christmas Gnome. It had picked Stoneware Pinpillows and Cozy Nest. So I had all three of those with me, and I worked on Cozy Nest and Stoneware Pinpillows. So this is Stoneware Pinpillows 3. This is the last set. Hopefully. If she comes out with the fourth one, I may or may not get it, but probably not because this is from 2016. But this is the third one, and the other two sets are on my tree. So once I finish these, they will also be finished like those, and I may end up putting something around the edges of all of them. I was kind of waiting until I got all sets finished before I decided if I wanted to put any other finishing on it other than just a basic pillow finish. So last time I showed you I did have a little bit of start on this one. I really only worked on this for about an hour once I put aside Cozy Nest. So this is what I have. Last time you saw this, it was just these two leaves. So I went up and I added in most of the flower, and then there's a couple more petals, and then it comes down and there's a couple more leaves at the bottom. This actually goes super fast. I am stitching this on Vintage Country Mocha 36 count, and I am stitching it with Gentle Arts Black Raspberry Jam, and that is probably one of my absolute favorite blues to use. It goes from a deep purpley blue to a lighter kind of blueberry blue. So I really enjoy, hang on. Okay, sorry. Sirius was about to have another Grumpy Old Man episode. So I tried to catch it before he started barking. So anyway, that blue is one of my favorite ones to stitch with when it comes to the variegated flosses. Plus, I really enjoy stitching with the Gentle Arts flosses. Okay, so the next one that I have to show you that I put in a little bit of time, not a whole lot of time, not as much as I would have liked, is Heartstring Samplery Dream Journal Gothic. This is the Edgar Allan Poe quote from The Raven. And I did change, on here it says volume 4. I changed that to just say Heidi. But I believe that is the only alterations that I'm going to be making to the pattern. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, the initials in here, I will change those to be my initials. So it'll be like HJC. So there's that. And this is on 40 count Stormy Nights, and I am using another vintage or another Gentle Arts, and this is Blue Spruce that I'm using for this one. And this is, and I've said this before, but this is a pattern that is designed to be made into a book cover because it's a journal cover. Let me pull the needle. Okay. So I have finished the words, and I have a thread. Here we go. I have finished the words, and I have started on the thought bubble on the other side. And as you can see, I have plenty of fabric on the outsides. Because it is meant to be a book cover, I wanted to make sure I had plenty of fabric to accommodate that. So I did start it in the center. I'm hoping that I will have some good strips off the sides that I can use for like ornaments or something. But here is Gothic Dream Journal, or Dream Journal Gothic, whatever. And it's coming along. I don't stitch on it very often, so when I do stitch on it, I do tend to get, a decent amount of progress. And I think once I get that outline done and start working on the little motifs that are inside of it, it'll feel like it's going pretty quick at that point. Okay, so then the next thing I have to show you is, it's not Halloween, even though it is in a Halloween bag. And yes, this is You Can't Stir with the Big Girls from Waxing Moon Designs that I did a couple years ago. So, Tiny Decisions Wheel decided I needed to work on Father Christmas. And last year, I had done the, what was it called? It was another set of these Prairie Schooler Santas. This is Father Christmas. Was it like St. Nicholas or something? I don't remember. But it was another set of 8. And I did 6 of the 8 because one I really didn't like because I had a nutcracker and I'm not a fan of nutcrackers. And then I picked another one that I was like, about, so I made my 6 instead of 7. I might go back and do the other 2. I don't know. It might happen. So, Tiny Decisions Wheel had me pull that up. I did finish one of the Santas. So last time I showed you in my whip parade, this guy was just about done. All I had left to do was his face. So I filled in his face and he is now done. And this is on 18 count vintage country mocha using the called for colors. So after I finished him, because I do like 3 of them at a time and then move on. After I finished him, I moved on and I put in the face on this one. So he's now got a creepy looking face. And then I put in the face on this one. And he has like a little bit of skin showing right here in between his like muffs. And then I added some more to his jacket because his jacket was like down here. So I added several rolls to his jacket until I ran out of the floss that was on my needle. And then I put him away. So that was about maybe 2 hours of stitching. Maybe. About a movie. Because that's typically what I get at night, is about the length of a movie. So, got a little bit further on that one. It's like caught on the floss ring. I am using all the called for on that, and that is all DMZ. Okay, moving on. I have Tiny Modernist Night Signs, and I am doing it like this. So I am currently working on this guy. Last time you saw it, I didn't even have the border stitched. I did mess up on it and made this inner border the same color as the outer border. So when I go to do it again over here, I will do it the same way so that it doesn't look weird. I'll probably stitch these the right way, but I'll make these 2 borders match. So there's that. And I actually gave this one a little bit of time and made some decent progress on this one. And let me pull my needle to the back here. There we go. So this is on 20 count charcoal. And as you can see, I finished the border and I have quite a bit of the inside stitches completed. Once I finish stitching this big moon, then I can do the stuff that's inside of it, and it will go pretty fast once I finish that moon. I am really liking how it's coming out on this gray fabric. And once I get the next box down, I will trim off the fabric because there's a lot of fabric here. And I intend to do it like this. So it's going to end up being a pillow. I'm not sure. I might end up putting some kind of fabric around it to make it slightly bigger because I think it's going to end up being a little bit small. I would like it to be at least a 12-inch pillow, so I'm thinking it's going to end up being more like a 10-inch, so I might add a little bit of fabric around the sides, which isn't a big deal because I'm going to be putting fabric on the back of it anyway to make it a pillow. So there is that. And then my last whip to show you is... Okay, sorry about that. That was a second for you, but it was about 15 minutes for me. There was someone who was getting food delivered, and the delivery person had two phones, one in each hand. One, he was looking at the address or something, and the other one was talking very loudly in a different language. And yeah, so he kept wandering back and forth, and so I had to I had to wait for that. And yeah, anyway, my last whip that I have to show you is Autumn Lane Stitchery Bewitched. This one, my Tiny Decisions wheel decided I needed to put some time in on this one, and so I pulled this one out. And this is actually one that it likes a lot because it tends to pick it all the time. And once I've stitched on it, I try to not stitch on it again and give something else a chance to be stitched on. So trying to, let me just take it out of the frame here, or the hoop. This is a really soft fabric, so I have to use a hoop, otherwise my stitches will look weird. Okay, so, and I know I've said that this is 18 count haunted. I don't think it's haunted. I think it is an 18 count from Forbidden Fiber Co. Honestly, I'm not sure. It looks like haunted, but I don't think it is. Anyway, so this is what I have. I'm not sure how different it looks from the last time that you saw it. It is a lot of block colors. I did add the yellow into the jack-o'-lantern's face and into the house. So I added all that yellow in. And then I added the light blue that comes up and like lines the outside edges of her skirt here, and I added it in here, and I'm working my way this way with it. It goes up a little bit more here to border this tree that comes up, and then I will, I think, be done with that blue for a while anyway. It's very color blocked. So I'm just kind of working my way through with the different shades of blue. But that is what I've got. it is looking very nice on this fabric, and I'm sure will be called again by my Tiny Decisions wheel because it likes this particular pattern for some reason. it is always pulling it up. Sometimes I do mark it because it has the feature where you can mark it to not pick the same ones. So it will block off the ones it has already chosen. So I do have that feature available. And every once in a while I will turn that on. But it hasn't been that serious yet. It keeps wanting me to start new ones too. And I need to make some more floss drops before I can start any new ones because I don't have the floss drops to kit anything up with right now. And it's not top priority to sit and make floss drops, so that has not happened anytime recently. So on to the stuff that I was either / given or picked up off of the freebie table at AZ Stitchers. So first one, and this one is a kit that is, it's just Nan is the designer, and sorry about the crinkling, it's the way the bag is made. It comes with the tin that's like the base of the finished product, but it's to do this like mandala, floral mandala as the topper, and it has the finishing pieces with it. So I am super excited about trying that out. I think that will be really cute and fun. So I couldn't believe that they put that on the freebie table. There was 2 of them. I almost grabbed both of them. The other one was a Christmassy one, and I liked the flowers better. So I'm like, I won't be greedy. I'll let someone else get the other one. I try. I really try. But I could not pass that up. And I happened to be standing there when the lady put it on the table. So I was like, I'll just take one of those. And yeah, I'm really curious to see how that goes together. The next time my Tiny Decisions wheel tells me to start a new or a new small, I think I might pull that out and take a look at that one. Okay, so moving on. Let's see. The other ones that I picked up off of the freebie table were these. Is Stitching with the Housewives, Ghoul's Garland, because that is very me. And yeah, very, very me. So there's that one. And I don't know why it's not folded. I would have folded it. I'm going to fold it because, there we go. Ghoul's Garland. Stitching with the Housewives. And then this one, this is Cormacy Heirlooms. I've never heard of this designer. Spooky Spots. I thought it was a really cute little Halloween design. And it looks like it would stitch up super fast. There's a little bit of black work, and it looks like there might be a little bit of specialty stitches in the outside border. And it looks like there's like a button, which is not in here, but I'm sure it would not be hard for me to go in my stash of buttons and find a button, or just stitch the spider. But he looks like he's supposed to be on the top of like a box or something, or a basket. But I picked that up. And that's like a really thick pattern, so it must tell it must tell like how to make whatever it is that it's on top of. Okay, so on to the ones that I was just given. So this one is Heartstring Samplery Joyful Woods Sewing Roll. And it says, the green woods laugh with the voice of joy. And this is from my friend Melissa, who I hadn't seen in months, literally like almost a year, I feel like. And she comes bearing gifts. So she gave me this one. And it has all the finishing stuff with it, which is awesome. And then she gave me Linden Place, Woodland Wonder, I really like the trees, and the reindeer's antlers is really cool. A lot of beads on this one too. Then a pear tree. Oops. And this one is Sue Hillis Designs. I thought that it was very cute, very Christmassy, without being like too cutesy, I think. Yeah. It says, oh, there's some star charms that came with it. But I don't know as if it really needs those. I didn't even notice that there's like stars in the pattern that are charms until I read that it said charms, and obviously it's a handed on pattern, so it doesn't have those in it, but I don't think it needs it. I would be perfectly fine stitching it without the charms. Okay, and then I got the Windy Stitches Endangered Species, the Lear's Macaw? Yeah, whatever. So, birds. I like birds. And I have other ones in the series. So she gave me that one. And then she also gave me Cranberry in Pines from Rosewood Manor. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this pattern has it either set up to do it as a stocking, or you can do it just as a straight thing. But it has a lot of beads on it as well. All the little red in it, I believe, are all beads. So that is all the stuff that I got, well, was given to me. And I did order 5 or 6 patterns from Market. So when those come in, I will, I'll show those probably on my next video, because I'm sure those will be shipped shortly. I ordered them from Lindy Stitches, and I actually ordered twice. I ordered like 3 patterns and then another 3 patterns like a week later. So I'm sure that those will be arriving shortly. They're usually pretty quick about shipping stuff like that. Now that Market has finished. So there's that. Let's see. I have not watched any new Flosstubers. I've watched a few of my regulars. And I'll put some of them in my description box below if you're interested. I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks at night when I'm stitching, because I feel like I'm slacking on my audiobooks and reading this year. I've only finished 5 books this year, which is weird for me. I feel like I should be in the double digits by now. But it is what it is. So I've been listening to audiobooks instead of watching Flosstube at night when I'm stitching. Let's see. I really only treat myself on like the the weekends to watch some Flosstubes when I get a chance. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm going to call it a day on that. And thank everybody for watching. If you have subscribed, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. Yeah, and have a great day. See you next time.